And then just the final Nintendo news. And this was more just like, for me, shocking that, and I'm guessing you haven't been following this whole FIFA situation, but you know, EA has not been given a lot of love to Nintendo and in particular the Switch. Like many of the titles that they could have brought across haven't. Like I'm shocked that they still haven't brought The Sims. To
it'd be
the Switch,
perfect
because I feel like
it would go
that
nuts.
would just go gangbusters. Like
I'd
they would
get
make
it.
so much money on that. And they've publicly said they just don't like the Switch and like what Nintendo does as a platform generally, like in coded language. Like I'm translating. So they released FIFA 19. People were like, oh, you know what? That's good. They've actually done a version of it. It's like it's the downscaled version. It's not the latest engine. But, you know, for people who have only got the Switch, it's something to play. Cool. So that was FIFA 19. Then FIFA 20 came out. And they had a line in FIFA 20 which said basically it doesn't feature any innovations from FIFA 19. So essentially what they did is they released a version of FIFA 19 just with an updated roster and called it FIFA 20 and sold it for full price, right? This year, everyone's like, okay, well, they can't do that again. FIFA 21. They literally did it again. But this time, they said it doesn't have any innovative features since FIFA 20.
Wow.
Right? And this has already tricked people because Swinny mentioned this to me and he goes, look at this. This is unbelievable. They haven't done anything since FIFA 20. And I'm like, this is so dodgy. They haven't done anything since FIFA 19. Because if you go to FIFA 20, they also say it doesn't do anything since FIFA 19. So they've done a roster update for 2 years in a row and charged full price to everyone. Right? And to me, this is unbelievable what IGN has done. Because like, let's be real. IGN is a big company. Like they always give like FIFA games 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Like, you know, how are these games getting like such insane high scores other than they have a close relationship, they get a lot of money for advertising. You know, it's not very independent.
Yeah. And I mean, right? It's also, if you assign a person on the team who loves to play those games, it's genuine in that sense. They do give it a 9 out of 10 because they probably think it is a 9 out of 10. But it depends who you ask. It's not like everyone at that company will think it's an amazing game.
No, correct. And it's like, you know, who they assign, you know, what do they historically give? Like, I just do not believe for a second that they're doing fair reviews for a lot of these massive games. But I was shocked to see with the Switch, because other smaller outlets have done this with FIFA 20. They blew it up. They said it was like crap, right? But IGN came out the other day and did their review for FIFA 21 on the Switch and gave it 2 out of 10.
Wasn't like, the joke comment the author wrote that if they're going to copy the game, I'm just going to copy my review from last year as well?
But I was like shocked at this, man. This is pretty controversial for IGN to do because, you know, like even when I went on the IGN page, they were actually advertising FIFA 21 all over it. Like it was their, you know, sponsored
not the Switch version
game. And, you know, they gave a good, I think they gave a pretty good review for FIFA 21 for like PS4, which is like, whatever.
Look, they're probably,
I mean,
obviously
shocked
for the type of games that they are, they're good games. It's not something you and I actively play, but I can imagine someone who does play those games, absolutely rock solid. As an outsider looking at the tactics that they use on those games and the way they milk money out of their fan base is kind of crazy, especially with stuff like this happening. But hey, you know, their strategy probably went, people who haven't yet bought the game on Switch, they'll pay full price. It's the latest version. People who already have it, if they want to pay it again, just because maybe there's a couple of roster changes or whatever, go ahead, do it. So
I just quickly checked. They actually did give it 7 for the PS4 version, which is pretty brutal, to be honest. They normally, and like I said, this is like their main badged advertisement. So this is going to cause a lot of issues, man, with the business side of IGN and the editorial
they have
side.
integrity?
I'm on the same page as you. Well, they do split those two functions. That's always historic. Like that's all good. These kind of big you know, outlets. But, you know, like for me, like I would actually love to play some of these games like NFL, FIFA, you know, NHL, because I do love these games, but their over reliance on monetization and, you know, like the packs that you open to get good players and all that kind of stuff, it just absolutely puts me off these types.
To me, it's the bane of gaming existence.
Yeah. And look, you know, good on them. Like, I love business. I love capitalism. I think with FIFA, EA makes about $1 billion a year off FIFA. Like, no, they're not going to change.
And as long as they can keep doing it and people are willing
to
pay for it, well, why would they change?
Yeah. I just wish that there was like an arcade version of FIFA, or, you know, something like a bit old school, bit arcadey, and had all the players in it. Because I do like that aspect of it. But it just doesn't exist. Maybe eventually that gap in the market gets filled. What happened to PES?
Wasn't PES Pro Evolution Soccer the big competitor? I assume that's still around.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of the teams, and they've actually lost some more of the teams. It's all really... I kind of love it. It's like they've got weird licensing rules and everything like that. So they had certain teams in like Spain or Italy or something like that, and then, you know, they weren't in FIFA. And yeah, it's all complex, but FIFA's the only game in town, really, if you want to play with the current players,
what's like
rosters and everything like that.
Motorbike racing games. There's only one real major one, which is Ride, unless you're into the MotoGP series. And I got
and Ride 4 just came out,
either came out or is about to come out. I'm not sure. I was actually playing number 3 the other day, and one thing that annoyed me a little bit is I got Ride 1. They didn't have my motorbike in it. I got Ride 2, they didn't have my motorbike in it. I'm like, come on. They had the 2011 version or something. They didn't have exactly the one I had. And then Ride 3 was announced, and my mate messaged me and he goes, hey, I think they've got your bike in this one. So immediately I went out, I bought it, paid full price or whatever it was at the time. I just had to get my hands on it. And then I couldn't actually use my bike, because to get the bike, you have to complete a series of events in the game for 600cc bikes. But to start that series, you need to get all these awards to be able to get to start the series. So now I'm sitting there like having to do all this crap that I really don't want to go through just to be able to unlock that one bike to use. Maybe... No, I don't think you can just pay for it. No. So what... No, when I went to the actual section to get it, I couldn't find anything. All it said was, you need to complete this series. So I'm like, okay, where's that series? So then I went, looked at the roster of series. There it is. Okay, to start the series, you need to have like 56 stars. And you get up to 3 stars per race. And some of the races are time attack races, which that game notoriously has really hard time attacks. So anyway, it's just a case of playing it, which isn't, you know, super bad, because you get to experience all sorts of different bikes and stuff like that. But I never found, for some reason, motorbike games as polished and as fun to play as, you know, Forza or just about any racing game, really. So you probably know I'm a huge racing game fan as well. So I've got every single Forza game that's been out. I think I've got a copy of every single Gran Turismo game that's ever come out, including the original PlayStation one. Still have the physical disc and everything. So I love those games because I love cars. But motorbikes one just were never really quite as polished, and I find I'm not really getting that enjoyment out of riding these bikes and unlocking these events. I feel like I'm doing it as a chore just so I can get this bike, which guaranteed I'll unlock, buy, customize to make it look like my real bike, use it once, and then delete the game. So,
yeah, and look, you know, like, and we're way off topic, but just on, because I actually checked out Ride 4 because, you know, we both ride bikes, and there is something really weird for me, and it's unfair, just my bias, but with racing games, it feels more natural, even with a controller, and definitely way more natural with a steering wheel, right? Playing a racing game, like a car game, than riding a motorbike and controlling it with a controller or any other device. Like, there's something about riding a motorbike, it's so much more physical, like, you know, leaning your physicality with it than, you know, with a car, which is like you know, it is an input system. It's like you're turning the wheel, the car goes this way, you know, and it just translates so much better for gaming. And, you know, additionally to that point, your point around, it doesn't feel as polished, that really put me off as well. I was checking out a few of them and I'm like, it just doesn't seem as good as like the equivalent car games. Like they look so incredible.
Absolutely.
Like
Even the physics engine and everything. Like that. Yeah.
Versus these games, they're really, really good, but they're just sort of like
it is.
AA or something compared to
smaller
like
developers.
Level, you know?
I think obviously the budget would be significantly
less. It's a smaller
market, probably. Yeah. What I always dreamed of is if they could release a motorbike DLC for a game like Forza. I would just love that to bits. But yeah, just do you think that's
that'd be cool.
The graphics and I know the game engine would be different, but I mean, being able to customize the game engine to take advantage of what they've already built up on, it'll be sick. I'd love that.
Yeah.